Thank you for watching this ag forecast for the southern U.S. I'm Major Pritchard, Senior Meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. We'll check out the satellite picture here early on this Friday morning, and we have Sally's remnants departing the mid-Atlantic, moving over the Atlantic Ocean early this morning. We've also got Tropical Depression 22 spinning away in the western Gulf of Mexico right now. It is expected to intensify into a tropical storm later today or tonight, potentially reaching hurricane status by the time we get to Sunday. Moving slowly off to the north-northeast, we can see the moisture there kind of making its way up across the Gulf of Mexico, kind of up across the Texas coast there, and we will start to eventually bring some of this precipitation into inland areas here as we head a little bit deeper into the weekend. Now, the last 72 hours of precipitation has been dominated by Sally as it made its way up here across parts of the Florida panhandle, southwest Alabama, and then curving off to the northeast through Georgia, South Carolina, and then into the mid-Atlantic through the day yesterday into this morning. We've also had some moisture across portions of central and eastern Texas, some showers across that region, a few thunderstorms over the last few days. As we look at the next week of precipitation, Tropical Depression 22, our potential weekend named storm in the Gulf, is really about it as far as organized precipitation makers go across the lower 48. We do have some really badly needed rainfall finally occurring across the Pacific Northwest, but otherwise we're looking at a pretty dry air mass across the midsection of the country that's going to be keeping things pretty quiet as we head into next week. Now, we are a bit on the chilly side here. As Sally departs, we brought a cold front into the eastern third of the country, such that all the way from the eastern Corn Belt into the northeast, down into the Gulf Coast, we're a little bit cooler than average over the next 5 days, and that is because of this big trough right here. This one's bringing a bunch of cold air in behind it here that's making its way all the way down into, again, the northeast, into the southeast, down to the Gulf Coast. This is also what's helping to fling Sally off to the across the Atlantic Ocean here as we head into the next 24 hours. As I take the drawings off and show you where we're headed then, this big trough across the northeast continues to kind of just dig in here as we head deeper into the weekend, and that's what's going to allow the cool air to sink into the region, and then high pressure on the backside. That is what keeps us cool and dry across the northeast. Now, we keep Tropical Depression 22, our potential named storm, going on down here across the Gulf Coast, and as this area of high pressure with its clockwise flow around it begins to pivot off across the southeastern U.S., this is where we could get this system to start to pivot back toward the northeast, potentially moving in over land across the southern U.S. So it's a delicate play here between 22 and that area of high pressure. Now, again, we can see the dryness of this air mass as we look at the precipitable water plot. This is basically taking a look at the depth of the moisture, saying if you stood outside, you looked straight up, how much moisture could you wring out of the atmosphere? And it's as you get into those brighter colors, the yellow, the red, and the purple shading, that's where we've got our real deep tropical moisture. And where you've got the big brown area, all this brown shading, this is our cool, dry air mass coming in on the backside of that trough. And it's just going to work its way back down here across the southeast as we head deeper into the week. So let me just slowly play this and watch the dry air, watch the brown air mass just sliding across the southeast. That is cool, dry autumn air making its way into the southern U.S. as we head through the weekend. And so even as we bring a little wave across the Pacific Northwest into the northern plains over the weekend, you can see the comma shape to it right there. We're taking all the Gulf moisture and just wrapping it around Tropical Depression number 22, probably named by this point Sunday into Monday. But again, this front just extends all the way from this low across eastern Canada, down across the Gulf Coast, then down toward Tropical Depression 22. So cool and dry across the southern U.S., with our wild card being the tropical system down in the Gulf. As we look at the temperature trends over the next week or so, again, looking at the big blue and green shaded area making its way into the southeast and then eventually hooking its way back in, just kind of riding down into the southern U.S. as we get into the mid part of the week. We will see some of that heat making its way back into the northern plains, the Great Lakes as we get into the early part of next week, but really looking at a chillier next 7 days across the southern U.S. Now let's talk about 22. We're looking directly at the HWRF here. This is one of our most reliable tropical models here. And again, much of the track's taking this thing slowly off to the north before hooking around here toward the Texas coast, bringing some heavy rainfall to the Texas coast into the coast of Louisiana. Again, looking at the intensity models here, just kind of flirting between tropical storm and hurricane strength as we head into the 60 to 108 hour time frame. So again, as it kind of meanders around here near the coast, kind of probably borderline tropical storm, category 1 hurricane. But then what happens is, as we get to the other side of the weekend into early next week, again, we slowly move north, we curve back toward the Texas coast. But then that area of high pressure, I'm going to draw on this map, starts to kind of, pivot toward this area. We get that clockwise flow around it. This is where we could start to see our named storm now starting to move back toward the north, curve back toward the north into the east, potentially bringing some heavier rainfall inland across portions of the Gulf Coast of Texas into Louisiana, and then potentially off to the northeast from there. So let's just look at the European model, the operational model, of what we're spitting out right now. Again, a big expansive area of high pressure moving in across the eastern, 2/3 of the country, keeping things quiet and dry. Tropical depression number 22 just going to meander around here as we head into the weekend, bringing some heavy rain to the Texas coast as we head into the weekend, maybe starting to get some of that rainfall ashore here as we get into Sunday, continuing into Sunday night and Monday. Into Tuesday, this is when we start to kind of maybe ride the coast slowly. So, this is something we're going to have to watch. It's borderline tropical storm, Hurricane 1 strength, but if this thing really is going to just kind of, sit and slowly move along the coast, just having an unimpeded fetch of tropical moisture, we really could stack up the rainfall pretty quick from eastern Texas into Louisiana as we head into the early part of next week. So I know Eric will address this more. It's going to be a very delicate balance. We'll have to watch here just how does Tropical Depression 22 interact with this ridge of high pressure as it slides off across the southeast. So total precipitation, total accumulated rainfall over the next week or so, generally going to be dry across the eastern 2/3 of the country, and we're going to have to watch closely, though, the impacts of Tropical Depression number 22, potentially becoming a tropical storm later today, potentially becoming a hurricane over the weekend. That's our wild card. That is what we have to watch over the next 5 to 7 days across the eastern half of the country. Breezy conditions at times possible again with Tropical Depression 22, maybe making its way to tropical storm or hurricane strength. Those breezy conditions, of course, going to be most noteworthy closer to the coastal areas here of eastern Texas into Louisiana. We'll finish with a look at your high temperatures then as we head through the weekend into early next week. Again, on the cool side, as we head into the weekend, look at that 70s becoming widespread across the southeast. 70s and then 80s as you make your way east into parts of Texas and Oklahoma. Really, a lot of folks going to be seeing a beautiful weekend here across the southeast, drying out on the backside of Sally, bringing in some cooler temperatures. These are your overnight lows tomorrow morning and Sunday morning, seeing those overnight lows dropping into the 50s in some places here, getting those low 50s into parts of the southeast. Carolinas down into Georgia, even the Florida Panhandle, maybe seeing those lows right around 60 degrees as we get into Sunday morning. So what I was trying to say there, what I was getting ready to say is this really looks like a beautiful week across much of the Corn Belt, the Northeast, down into the southeastern U.S. Really just have to watch Tropical Depression number 22 down there for its impacts across the coast. I hope you have a great day, a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk to you again on Monday morning.